For this series of awareness, clarity, and connection, we're going to mostly use a roller. So the sequence will start off on our backs in a slight butt lifted position, pelvis on the roller, and then we'll come into hands and knees and into some twists, all while utilizing this. You do not have to have a super long roller. It could be a half, it could be a travel roller. One thing you do want though is that you want your weight to be placed on it. Now most rollers are pretty heavy duty because of the work that they do, but we're gonna play with this in a few ways that you might not have used before. All right, so let's explore, gain some awareness, some clarity, and some connection. So come onto your back and you're coming up into bridge with the roller. It's gonna be placed right opposite your hip here. Lift the hips and then slide the roller underneath yourself like so, okay? So you want to place it in a position where you feel steady. So it doesn't feel like it's going to roll this way. It doesn't feel like it's going to roll that way. You're just super steady, yeah? So from here, feel yourself easily breathing. If you're experiencing this as being too much, you can come onto your back without the roller at all. You can also come onto a block or a folded blanket. Just easily and quietly breathe and connect into how it is that you're feeling, how your day has been, how you've been with your day, what that internal world is like. If you're someone who over your lifetime has done a very good job at pushing symptoms aside or pushing emotions to the side, and yet you're someone who also has a persistency in your pain, what I have found is that there's a level of correlation between the rate of recovery and the rate of coming into an awareness of what those things are that have used to or have a tendency to be pushed away. And as scary as it can sometimes be to recognize them, that step by step, bit by bit, as you become more connected with them, what's interesting is the trajectory of recovery and of healing starts to pick up. So the step is just notice what you feel. Notice what's present. And by feeling, I mean whatever, whether it's sensation, whether it's symptom, whether it's emotion, whatever. Just what is in this space called your body, this miracle of this body, whether it is anatomical or physiological or psychological or emotional, just what's there. And then from here, we're going to take up one leg and then the other leg. This kind of position can be remarkable when you've been standing a lot. Or if you find yourself having ankles that get swollen. Even for people who have had lymph nodes taken out for whatever reason surgically, and sometimes the lymph has trouble draining, this can also be a way of enabling that to happen. If holding your legs up is too tough like this, if it just feels too limited, then you can always take your legs against the wall. All right, now we're going to bring the legs back down. And now we're going to slide 1 foot away, but I'd like you to keep the bottom of your foot on the ground. Now the reason for this is because when we bring the foot up, we can go further, but we might go too far, and then we start to extend too much to the back, and you might not notice that. So this can help constrain your awareness a little bit, constrain where your brain goes. So allow that foot to stay on the floor. It's not about stretching out the front of your hip. It's just noticing where you get to and what you feel. There is a little bit of hip extension happening on here, but again, remember, it's not about getting a stretch per se. Good, and then slide that back up. And then the other side comes on down. And as always, if you're finding that this just does not work with you, you can press stop. Yeah, or you can come just out of the movement, right? These videos are fun to do and they're a great way to practice, but anything online when you don't have that one connection or even small group connection becomes challenging, right? So this is where you get to play with and explore your own body. All right, so here's your leg bone's gonna move in rotation here. Good, and then the ankle comes onto the knee. And now you get to play with that leg bone motion in your pelvis. Be aware of what goes on in your back, what goes on at the actual pelvis itself, and can you make this just about your leg bone moving in the hip socket? So the front of the hip is quiet. You're utilizing your bum to do the movement at the rotators of your hip. Recovering from pain can sometimes be a bit of a lonely experience. Okay, come on out. Other side. Because so few people have pain that is obvious to the naked eye. Like if you've got a cast on your arm, something that's obvious, people can see. But when you can't, someone else can't see it, it's sometimes a little bit harder to be empathetic, right? So it can feel like you're the only one. Which on the flip side makes the process of exploring your body, that's your community of growing your internal awareness. Where you get to just be on a date with yourself all the time. Give yourself all that attention when you're doing the practice. Okay, good. Lovely. And then bring the leg back down. Okay, good. And be here. And now just notice. So we can be aware of how we're moving in combination with what we're feeling. Good. And we really start to develop this understanding of ourselves and how it relates to how we feel. Okay, come on up. Okay, let's come into cat and cow. We're just going to put the roller off to the side for just a sec. Okay, so a cat and cow. Whatever is the most comfortable here. So you can be here and just lead with your pelvis and go up the spine, lead with your pelvis and go up the spine, or you can simply just do the movement. And again, notice if you want to hyperextend your elbows or want to bend your elbows, or if you want to overly arch your lower back, just be aware of that. Good. And then let's come into a position where your hips are still high, arms reach out. Bring one hand underneath the opposite elbow and just rest your forehead down if that's available. Just reach through that one arm that's still straight. Good job. Okay, come on up. Other side. So being aware and feeling, recognizing what's going on through your system. And sometimes these sensations can feel really, really, really new and different, and you're not really sure what they all mean. Go ahead and come back up. And that's why having this inventory of what it is that you feel is so vital when you go to a professional and actually are able to say to them, this is what I'm noticing. Okay, come back into a child's pose. So you just come back with your hips towards your heels, and you're going to reach your arms forward here. Good. And then bring the roller this way. So hips are still moving backwards toward those heels. And if you have difficulty coming into this position, you can come back to the position we just did so that you don't have to bring yourselves into flexion of the knees and of the hips. Okay, good. And then let's come to the other side. Nicely done. Okay, great. And then let's come on up. Okay, now from here, I'll face you this way. I come into a tabletop with this roller on one side, and I bring my arm in behind the other straight arm, right? So I'm not coming in forward, I'm coming in behind. And I'm gonna take a twist. Now, a lot of times when people do this without the roller, they just come straight to the floor and drop their shoulder. I want you to think more about a rotation through those the ribs, so that you're here. Whoops, you're here, and you're rolling that roller into a rotation. So if I angle it off this way, what it looks like here is that. So the pelvis isn't going one way or the other way. It's the ribs that are rotating around because my abdomen is helping through that process as I roll with that roller. Good. Okay, and the other side. Perfect. Okay, so now let's leave that off to the side. Now let's see what you feel like when you're coming into a side bend. How does this feel through your body? Good. And then other side. Good, and then come back up. Okay, now from here, come back onto the floor, and this time bring the roller up underneath your legs, and then rest back here initially rather, with your legs being supported in Baddha Konasana. Just rest here, legs on the roller. Notice your breathing, notice what you're feeling, notice if anything is new or different. Feel what we've done so far and how that has created awareness or clarity and or connection. What feedback is your body giving you? Okay, now from here, bring one leg up towards you. You can place the foot on the roller if you want. The other leg is still straight over it. You can also bring the leg up like so. Hands can come behind the leg, and then the leg straightens up. You don't need to straighten it all the way. And then down, and down. Leg comes up. Something really cool happens as we gain this awareness and clarity of how our body moves, and that's that we become more present overall. Because we're so much more tuned in internally and externally. Externally meaning how our body's moving, and internally about how we are feeling on whatever level about how we're moving or what we're feeling because of our movement. And then come on down, and then back down. And then we just get to rest. And as we become more present, then it actually does become easier just to let go inside. And as that letting go happens, then a lot of tension starts to release. You can be here for as long as you would like. When you're ready to move, take another 5 breaths, count them on the exhale, and then move on with the rest of your day. Have a really, really great practice and remainder of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.